Hey there, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia Season 7 review. And today we're talking about Episode 3, Villain, which, after the death of Star and Stripe, takes us back to the main pool of heroes. Now, before we get any further, I'll make it clear that, for now, I'm flying blind. I dropped the manga a bit before this arc, although I did get spoiled for the identity of the UA Traitor, which was a bit of a shame. But otherwise, I don't really know anything about it at all, and so with all that being said, let's jump into the episode. So the cold open before the theme song is just completely recap, which is a shame, because honestly I do enjoy it when they give you a bit of story to sink your teeth into, but not today I guess. And so we jump into the intro theme, which I've already come around to, already love it, it's a banger. Before we find ourselves in All For One's cave hideout. He seemingly summoned the OG members of the League of Villains, those who are still alive or not in prison, and they're all staring down at Shigaraki's battered body. And you'd think by this point he'd just be laying there in agony, but nope. His body may be shattered, but the dude is still rabid, relentlessly hating on All Might. And I do have to wonder that at this point, it seems that for All For One and for Shigaraki, whilst Deku seems to be an annoyance and the one who currently has the power they want, they view him more like Star and Stripe. Somebody who embodies the spirit of All Might, which they can't stand. So, in a way, it still feels like their true nemesis is just All Might. But he isn't able to fight anymore. His quirk's gone, it's faded. So, is there going to be payoff to that? Do they kill him, or do they just fight Deku, lose, and then instead of acknowledging that Deku actually beat them, it's still all, "Damn you, All Might! It's your fault that this guy has his power and drive," etc., etc. Right now, it feels like the story needs to build to more All Might involvement. We've seen that support gear can contend with these guys somewhat. I mean, those fighter planes that aided Star were pretty strong. So could All Might use something like that to help Deku out in the battle? Sort of feels like it needs to happen at this point. They keep honing in on him specifically as their hated nemesis. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But regardless, the scene goes on. All For One and Shigaraki seem to be fusing. And now, at first, I thought it was like there was a new All For One consciousness that was growing inside Shigaraki, like a quirk factor remnant, but All For One even says that it's affecting his emotions, and he seems to be able to sort of see out of his eyes, so it's like a link. Does this mean the vestige is actually truly that person? So if All For One actually just straight up died in that body, his big body, his mind would simply be uploaded into Shigaraki, but it's not like a copy, it's actually the same guy. In the same vein of All Might being able to feel what his vestige feels in Deku's vestige realm. So, does that mean if All Might dies, he gets uploaded completely into Deku? Like, it's all very confusing to me. But at this point, it seems like Shigaraki's going to cease to exist, and All For One is just going to straight up take his body. That's his goal, functional immortality. But without being forced to remain in terrible bodies like his current one, where it's seemingly ruined beyond repair. Although, looking at Shigaraki, not like he's in great shape either. And then All For One talks some shit to Toya, who's antsy to go out and face his father, as he was supposed to get that chance before Shigaraki's body was destroyed, telling him that whilst they are similar in the way they have that drive, there is one difference that separates them as people. And this was a read between the lines moment of him saying, "The one reason I am so much better and more successful than you, Toya, is that his plans have plans, and he's always shifting paths to get what he needs based on the context of what's going on." Toya, meanwhile, is less skilled in that regard. Although, in his defense, I think few people are as skilled as strategy as the baked potato. And so now, we see one of those strategies in action, as his plans have had a setback, so now he's relying on some friends in UA, and they show her Gakure. And this is probably to make you think it's her, and it leaves you like that on a cliffhanger for like 4 minutes. Man, I'll be honest, it did actually make me forget about the identity of the real Traitor for a minute. I was like, what? I know, so dumb. And on top of that, I also found it kind of hard to focus in that scene where the class is training together the first time I watched it. I get why it was there, I get why it lasted so long, but for me, it made that scene harder to sit through because I wanted to see the follow-up to the Traitor. Got me all antsy. And so I actually had to re-watch the episode to get the most out of the training scene. And on that second watch, it was really, really awesome. Epic music, all the side heroes showing off how powerful they've gotten. Although I will say this, it's one thing to show it all off here, but another to actually give them a cool moment in the big final battle. So we'll have to see on that score. I also have to say that Deku's hair in this, it quickly went from funny to deeply annoying. I know it's just a me thing, but I found it so distracting. It looks so out of place. I hate it. Anyway, Deku marvels at how different everybody's gotten. That Bakugo seems to be catching up to him, having actually defeated him in their spar with a brand new attack. I gotta say, I'm still not used to the idea of these two being such good friends. It feels wrong, but also fun and wholesome, you know what I mean? And then we get a little bit of exposition and explanation about why they're just sitting around in UA despite the fact that they have this perfect opportunity for a counterattack. And that is, well, they can't find him. They've lost a lot of heroes and they're much weaker than they were prior to that first battle. And that was versus an incomplete Shigaraki woken too soon in an ambush. Plus, All For One has Ragdoll's quirk that lets him track powers, which gives them the advantage, so pretty much Deku has to hurry up and get ready so they can draw the villains out in the open for the final battle. And do so in a way that All For One can't plan for, which currently seems impossible. And here we get the traitor reveal. We flash back over to Higakure, where it's revealed that the traitor is, and always has been, Ayama, and that he was once quirkless like Deku. And so in order to make sure he fitted in with everybody and didn't get left behind, his parents took him to All For One for a quirk. And from then on, they were on his payroll on pain of death, with Ayama being the one who's been leaking information to him this entire time, up until Kamino with his defeat. And then, well, probably since his escape once more. Man, his parents suck here, I gotta say. Poor dude never had a chance. Like, them just begging him to save them. Oh, man. Doing that to your own kid. And like, what's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to let them die? Although I feel like fessing up to All Might or something after the Kamino incident would have been wise. That way, if All For One ever did come back, well, at least they'd have a way to plan for it. It's a rather long-winded scene and enjoyable, but not one of actual substance, beyond learning that Ayama actually feels bad about everything and feels like he had no choice. And then Deku arrives, having spoken to Higakure, and he's all shaken up, and you know, why wouldn't you be? Somebody you've known and trusted as an ally is revealed to have almost gotten you and your friends killed numerous times. If worst came to worst, Deku was almost murdered by Muscular because of this dude. Bakugo got snatched. Aizawa's eyes were weakened at the USJ. That masked dude with the gas, he was shooting people with an actual gun. Deku snapped some limbs, Ragdoll lost her quirk, Tokoyami almost went on a rampage and could have killed his friends. Shoji was rather badly injured. All Might's powers were lost once and for all. A lot of terrible things happened here, and it's honestly a nice bit of plot armor that nobody in the two classes were killed at the USJ and then the training camp. And it's made even worse by the reveal by All For One that these people aren't even important to him. His plans would go on without them. They are the 100 yen lighter in his eyes. Annoying if it doesn't work, but forgotten within a few minutes. God damn, that's ice cold. Anyway, we get some Ayama flashback where he reflects on how his parents had been rich and he never wanted for anything. They were kind and loving, and so when he was in need of a quirk, they jumped in and found him one. They spared no expense to get that quirk to fit his body, getting that custom belt and all. And over time, his desire to be a hero stemmed from this. He developed this wacko, over-the-top persona because his parents saved him, prevented him from feeling like an outsider or different. And so he wanted to twinkle and share that with the world. Man, this is just sad that this nice dream of this guy has been fully corrupted by All For One. I'd probably feel a bit more sad about all this if I hadn't known for a long time and if it was a more important character, but still it is sad. And so we learn that his latest orders were to lure out Midoriya so that he was alone, where he could presumably be attacked and have his quirk stolen and then be brutally murdered. And it does feel like he was going to go through with this based on what he was like with his parents. So at the same time, screw this guy just a little bit. Like, everyone's at severe risk right now. Deku's the only hope of stopping him, and you just sell him out and just destroy Japan forever. Such a dick move. Coward. And then he's running away, Deku's chasing him down, and he turns and fires his laser directly at Deku. And whilst Deku was charging up One For All, it kind of looked like he did not expect him to try to attack him, and he was going to get hit full on. Like, he's sort of cowering behind his arms. And so I gotta wonder, did this laser kill people? Like, would it have killed him? Higakure then jumps in, and since she can reflect light with her quirk, it bounces away, but her gloves are burning, so Deku probably would have been hurt quite badly if it did hit him. Jeez! Yeah, take this clown down. Finish him. And he does with Black Whip. And also seeing Higakure's face in this scene was pretty cool, even if it was only for a moment. That's a pretty huge development, honestly. I didn't really know what to expect for her to look like, but yeah, it took me by surprise. And so here, Deku takes him down, and we head over to the interrogation. Man, look at Nezu. Never seen him look so angry. It's actually quite nerve-wracking. Remember him whooping ass in those midterms and he was all smiley and happy and laughing, being crazy? Imagine the destruction a grumpy Nezu can unleash on someone. We then learn that All For One would definitely have slaughtered them if they tried to do anything to reveal him, which I assume involved them watching snuff films of said murders, so I kind of get why they went along with it for so long, but still. He does then throw himself a massive pity party. Oh, I'm such a villain. Like, come on, bro. There are better ways of taking accountability than saying, baity stuff like that. Deku then gives a grand speech to him about how he isn't a true villain, just a person who's made mistakes and done the wrong thing. But that doesn't have to define him as a person, and so he holds out his hand like All Might once did for him and tells Ayama that he can still be a hero. Until the cops tell him, nah, he's still a criminal actually, sorry kid. We then learn that only All For One can contact them, not the other way around. Hence why they didn't tell him about the plan to attack Kamino. And it's like, well, yeah. Why would you make it so these randoms can contact you at any time? The cops should have known this already. It's basic criminal mastermind shit. But that also means that they currently have his current contact information as they're on a mission right now. And so it takes the kids, specifically Deku and Kaminari, big brain Kaminari for once, hooray, to clue everybody else in on this, even Nezu. Damn, you'd think he'd be able to figure this out, that they can use Ayama as their trap card. Since he has the active mission, he has the contact info, and so they can lay the trap to bring them all out into the open to fight Deku and give them a chance. They can play the first move and make the villains adapt to them, not the other way around. A rather lucky turn of events this. In hindsight, good thing Star and Stripe came over here to lose, otherwise it would have been GG, right? Anyway, so that wraps up the main story of the episode, and then we come to the ending theme and the preview, which in turn doesn't really reveal much, just follows on from the interrogation scene. Man, this is actually pretty exciting. It was a low-key episode, not much happened in terms of action or anything, but you need that, especially after these big battle scenes in the first couple of episodes. And also, given that the battles are probably going to be very massive going forward, I'd expect. And so, yeah, loved it. And these have all just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? You like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.